Captain Elena Ward had learned a long time ago that a clean job was never clean. It might start that way. It might even pretend for a while. A simple contract. A simple route. A simple extraction from a disputed colony world before one side finished arguing with missiles and the other side finished bleeding. But there was no such thing as simple once atmosphere started burning against the hull. 2 minutes to drop range, Marcus Hale said from the weapons chair. Elena kept her eyes on the storm of red markers crawling across the display. The planet below filled the forward viewport, all green oceans and gray continents beneath bruised cloud cover. Pretty, if she ignored the fires visible from orbit. She hated pretty war zones. They've pushed farther inland, she said. Marcus leaned forward, his broad shoulders blocking part of the tactical screen from where she was. Ghorza don't push. They charge until something stops them. Anything stopping them? Currently. He tapped the screen. A Vorthax family shield generator with a dying power core and a lot of optimism. Elena glanced at the blue, pulsing near the coast. That was the estate. Their destination. The Vorthax colony world was called Ceres by the trade maps. The Vorthax called it Sarah. The Ghorza called it something that translated roughly to the place where our rivals refused to move. Which, in Elena's opinion, explained why the war had started. The Vorthax had claimed the colony first, settling the shallow seas and river deltas. The Ghorza had claimed old hunting rights based on a survey no one had agreed to, signed, or apparently read. Negotiations had been attempted. Then, the Ghorza had decided negotiations were better with artillery. The second chance cut through the upper atmosphere, shaking hard enough to rattle the charm hanging over Elena's console. It was a stupid little thing, a painted blue bird that Marcus had bought from a station child 3 years ago. It had survived pirates, customs inspections, one engine fire, and an unfortunate incident involving a board mechanic with glitter glue. It swung wildly now, as if trying to escape before the rest of them did. Elena, Marcus said. Their generator just dropped another 6%. I see it. They said they had an hour. They lied. Their clients. Of course they lied. Elena's jaw tightened. Remind me to add a lying surcharge. Marcus snorted. You already have one. Then remind me to double it. The calm light flashed. Elena opened the channel. The voice that came through was wet, strained, and trying very hard to sound offended instead of terrified. Vorthax voices always had that liquid undertone, as if they were speaking through water, even on dry land. Second chance, this is Lord Relvana. Our shield integrity is failing. You are late. Elena checked the timer. We are 12 minutes early. You should have accounted for the Ghorza advance. You should have accounted for the Ghorza invasion, Elena said. Marcus covered his mouth with one hand. The silence on the comm was sharp. Elena sighed. Lord Vanna, have your family and essential personnel at the North Landing Court. We touch down in 90 seconds. If you are not aboard in 3 minutes, we leave without you. You will not threaten us. I'm not threatening you. I'm scheduling you. She cut the channel. Marcus turned his chair slightly. Scheduling him? I'm trying professionalism. How's that feel? Unnatural. The second chance dropped beneath the cloud layer. The war came into view. The Vorthax estate had once been beautiful. Elena could see that even now. It had been built where river met sea, half on land and half over water, with white bridges linking low-glass domes and open pools. Trade ships had probably landed there once with music and banners. The Vorthax were excellent hosts when profit or pride required it. Now the pools reflected fire. The estate's shield shimmered over the complex in a pale blue dome. Every few seconds, something struck it from beyond the hills, and the light rippled like struck water. Ghorza walkers moved in the distance, heavy black shapes with jointed legs and cannon backs. Smaller forms swarmed around them. Massive bodies hunched low, multi-limbed and fast, their chitin catching the light of burning buildings. Elena brought the ship in hard. Landing court is clear, Marcus said. For the moment. For the moment is all we bought. The second chance screamed over the outer wall, pivoted, and dropped into the north court on screaming thrusters. The landing gear hit stone. Elena, Marcus said. I know. The shield flickered again. This time it did not fully recover. Elena opened the ship-wide channel. Cargo ramped down. Breach protocol. No sightseeing. Behind her, the old freighter groaned as the ramp lowered. Lord Relvana was waiting with his family, 6 guards, 3 servants, and enough luggage to suggest he had misunderstood the nature of a battlefield extraction. Elena watched the cargo camera feed and felt her blood pressure rise. The Vorthax were amphibious, slick-scaled, web-limbed, and graceful in a way most humans took a few minutes to appreciate. Their eyes were large and bright, set for seeing above and beneath water. Their skin shone with a natural wet gloss, green and blue and silver patterns shifting subtly with emotion. Lord Vanna's patterns were flashing angry gold. Cargo bay, Elena said into the comm, you have 2 minutes. Lord Vanna looked up toward the camera as if he could glare through it. Our hereditary records must come aboard. People first. These records define our lineage. Then your lineage can carry a box. Marcus laughed once, low and quick. The first Vorthax guards hurried up the ramp. Then the servants. Then 2 young adults, a clutch of smaller children, and finally Lord Vanna himself, dragged along by a stern-looking elder female who did not appear impressed with his dignity. A servant tried to guide a hovering luggage pallet up the ramp. Elena hit the cargo bay speaker. Leave it. Lord Vanna's voice came through the internal comm a second later. Captain Ward, that pallet contains objects of immense cultural and financial value. Great. They can culturally and financially explode down there. Elena, Marcus said. She looked at his screen. The shield was at 2%. Ramp up, she snapped. The cargo bay display showed one of Vanna's guards still outside, wrestling with a sealed case. Marcus leaned toward the comm. Hey, move. The guard looked up. The shield failed. The pale blue dome vanished. The world outside hit the estate all at once. The first impact took out the east bridge in a burst of white stone and steam. The second smashed into the far side of the landing court, close enough to make the second chance buck on her landing struts. The Vorthax guard abandoned the case and sprinted. Elena, Marcus said. I see him. The guard dove. Elena raised the ramp as he slid across the edge. His slick body skidded halfway into the cargo bay, arms windmilling, before 2 of his own people grabbed him and pulled him inside. Go! Marcus shouted. Elena punched the thrusters. The second chance tore upward as the landing court disappeared beneath them. Stone fragments hammered the lower hull. Alarms screamed. Vanna screamed louder, over the internal comm. Elena muted him. Marcus checked the damage readout. Minor impacts. Nothing breached. Good. Lord Vanna says you owe him for the case. Unmute him, and I'll tell him where he can put the case. Marcus's hand hovered over the control. Tempting. Don't. The ship climbed low over the river, hugging the terrain to stay beneath the worst of the Ghorza targeting net. Elena kept her grip loose on the controls, letting the ship move with the turbulence instead of fighting every bump. The second chance was old, ugly, and complained constantly, but Elena knew every complaint by tone. This one was fine. Angry but fine. Route to orbit, she asked. Ugly but open, Marcus said. If we swing west, we can ride the storm front and avoid their high guns. Plot it. Already did. Show off. You hired me for my charm. I hired you because you were cheap. I became expensive later. The distress channel crackled. Elena ignored it for half a second. That was all she allowed herself. Then she looked. The signal was weak, local, bouncing through damaged relay buoys. Civilian band. No encryption. No authority tags. Just an open call, repeated on a loop. Marcus's smile vanished. Elena, he said quietly. I hear it. The message broke through the static. Any ship, this is Sarah Delta Convoy 3. We are cut off east of the canal. Repeat, cut off east of the canal. Children and elders in group. Ghorza forces advancing. We cannot reach the shelters. Please. Static swallowed the voice. Then it repeated. Any ship, any ship. Elena looked at the map. The canal was 12 kilometers south of their planned route, right in the teeth of the Ghorza advance. Marcus did not say anything. He did not have to. Elena opened a channel to the cargo bay. Lord Vanna. His voice came back immediately, sharp with outrage. Captain, your reckless departure nearly killed my guard. The invasion nearly killed your guard. I saved him. We received a civilian distress call. A pause. Then Vanna said, that is unfortunate. Elena's hand tightened on the controls. Marcus closed his eyes. Vanna continued. However, our contract requires immediate orbital extraction. My family is your priority. Your family is safe aboard my ship. No one is safe until we reach orbit. There are civilians 12 kilometers south of us about to be overrun. That is not our concern. Elena turned the ship west. For 1 second. 1 single second. Then she saw the civilian marker blink again. A voice in the static said, please, we have hatchlings. She turned the ship south. The second chance banked hard enough to throw something heavy against a cargo bay wall. Lord Vanna shouted, Captain. Elena opened the ship-wide channel.
Her voice was calm.
That was how Marcus knew she was furious. This is Captain Ward. We are diverting to rescue civilians. Anyone who has a problem with that can keep it to themselves. Anyone who tries to interfere with my crew, my ship, or this rescue will be placed in an escape pod. If we run out of pods, I will improvise. Marcus glanced over. Improvising means airlock, right? Elena forgot the channel was still open. Obviously. A shocked murmur rose from the cargo bay feed. Then the elder female's voice cut through. Rel, sit down before the human makes a fair point with poor safety procedures. Marcus barked a laugh. Elena killed the channel. The second chance dropped lower, skimming over marshland and shallow floodplains. The Vorthax had built their roads in raised ribbons over the wet ground, but most were shattered now. Smoke marked the convoy before their beacon did. 3 transport skimmers had been hit near the canal crossing. One lay upside down in the water. Another burned. The third had been shoved sideways against a broken bridge support. Maybe 40 civilians were gathered beneath a cracked flood wall, pinned between open water, ruined road, and the approaching Ghorza. Elena saw children. That made the rest very simple.
Marcus, she said.
I'm on the ramp. Ghorza distance? 1 walker at 800 meters. Ground pack closer. Maybe 2 minutes. Wonderful. We've had worse. When? I'm being supportive. Elena brought the second chance in over the canal, thrusters kicking up steam and mud. The civilians scattered at first, then saw the open ramp and ran toward it. Marcus was already there with 2 Vorthax guards, shouting over the roar. Move. Move. Children first. No bags. No crates. If it can't cry, bleed, or breathe, leave it. The first civilians hit the ramp in a wave of slick limbs and terror. Vorthax fear made their skin produce mucus. Elena had known that as a fact. She had even seen it once on a space station when a docking alarm went off. She had not seen 40 terrified Vorthax all panic-shutting at once. The cargo ramp became a shining disaster. 1 Vorthax elder slipped, slid backward, and knocked 3 others down like wet bowling pins. Marcus grabbed the rail with one hand and caught a child with the other before the little one skidded off the ramp entirely. Marcus, Elena said over comms, my ramp. Yeah, he grunted, hauling the child upright. I see it. That slime is going into the hydraulics. I'm rescuing civilians, Captain. I'm aware. Try to sound more supportive. I support sending the cleaning bill to Lord Vanna. Marcus turned and shouted into the bay. You hear that? Rich guys paying for the slime. One of a Vorthax children made a sound that might have been a laugh. The walker fired. Elena jerked the ship sideways. The shot missed by maybe 10 meters and blew a boiling crater into the canal. The whole ship rocked. Faster. Marcus shouted. The Vorthax surged up the ramp. A mother stumbled near the bottom, clutching a smaller child wrapped in wet cloth. Her skin flashed pale gray with terror. Marcus grabbed her under one arm and pulled her up. She twisted, searching the crowd. Lyra. Where is Lyra? Marcus looked past her. Who? My daughter. She was behind me. She was right behind me. Elena heard it over his open comm and looked at the cargo feed. The mother tried to push back down the ramp. A guard caught her.
No.
Sarah, no. She is out there, the mother screamed. My child is out there. Marcus looked down the ramp. The last civilians were coming aboard. Beyond them, the road was empty except for smoke, broken skimmers, and the dark shapes of Ghorza infantry spilling through the far end of the street. Marcus, Elena said. He did not answer. Marcus. The mother was on her knees now, slick hands sliding uselessly over the deck as two civilians held her back. Please. Please. She hides when she is afraid. She is small. She will not call out. Please. Marcus looked up at the camera. Elena knew that look.
No, she said.
Elena.
No.
She's a kid. The Ghorza walker fired again. Elena lifted the ship 10 meters. The shot passed under them and smashed into the flood wall. Concrete burst outward. Several Vorthax screamed. Marcus grabbed a rifle from the rack near the ramp. Marcus Hale, Elena said, do not step off my ship. He looked back at the terrified mother. Then he jumped. Damn it. Marcus hit the mud below, rolled, came up running, and shouted into comms. Circle wide. Pick me up after. Elena swung the ship sideways, using the hull to block the next line of fire as best she could. You make it back alive, she snapped. Marcus was already sprinting toward the wreckage. His voice came through, breathless but steady. That's the plan. Elena hated his plans. She raised the ramp. The cargo bay erupted behind her. The mother screamed. Lord Vanna shouted something about breach of contract. Someone slipped in slime and crashed into something expensive sounding. Elena muted all of it except Marcus. She banked the second chance hard around the broken flood wall, drawing fire. For the next few minutes, the sky belonged to her, and the ground belonged to Marcus. Marcus Hale ran through smoke, mud, and the kind of fear that made the back of his neck feel cold. He hated looking for children in war zones. Adults did predictable things when they panicked. Bad things often. Stupid things usually. But predictable. Children vanished. They folded themselves into shadows, crawled under wreckage, hid behind the first thing that looked solid, and then stayed silent because every instinct in their little bodies told them that silence meant survival. The Ghorza knew that too. Marcus vaulted a broken section of bridge rail and dropped beside the first ruined skimmer. Heat rolled off the engine compartment. The vehicle's smooth Vorthax hull had split open like a shell. Water from the canal lapped at the lower edge. Lyra, he shouted. Nothing. He forced himself to slow for half a second and listen. Behind him, the second chance roared overhead, drawing fire from the walker. Elena was flying low and mean, the way she did when she was angry enough to stop caring about fuel efficiency. Ahead of him, Ghorza infantry moved through the smoke. They were huge. The smallest was twice Marcus's mass, hunched forward on four limbs with two upper arms carrying weapons grown or built to match their bodies. Their chitin was dark, ridged, and scarred. Multiple eyes reflected firelight. Their mandibles clicked as they advanced. Predators. Clan hunters. Aggressive negotiations with teeth. Marcus ducked behind the skimmer as a burst of fire tore through the air where his head had been. The shots punched into the wreckage and sent hot fragments across his cheek. Not today, he muttered. He checked under the skimmer. No child. He moved to the second wreck. Lyra, my name is Marcus. Your mother sent me. A soft sound came from somewhere to his left. Not a voice. A wet, frightened squeak. Marcus froze. Lyra? Silence. He crouched and scanned the wreckage. The Vorthax colony road had buckled when the bridge took a hit, leaving broken plates of pavement tilted over a drainage channel. Water trickled beneath them. A narrow gap opened between two slabs, barely wide enough for a human arm. A flash of silver green moved inside. Marcus lowered himself to one knee. Hey, he said, keeping his voice gentle. Lyra? Two large eyes stared back from the dark. She was small. Smaller than he expected. Maybe the Vorthax equivalent of 6 or 7. Her head fin was pressed flat with terror, and her skin shimmered so pale she nearly matched the concrete. Both webbed hands covered her mouth. "There you are," Marcus said. The child did not move. "I'm Marcus. Your mother is on my ship. She's safe. She sent me to find you." A Ghorza roar rolled across the street. Lyra flinched deeper into the gap. Marcus glanced back. 3 Ghorza were moving toward his position. Not rushing yet. Hunting. One lowered its head, tasting the air with twitching mouthparts. Marcus looked back at Lyra. "I need you to come out now." She shook her head. "Yeah," he whispered. "I get it." A shot cracked overhead. Marcus dropped lower as fragments rained down. The Ghorza had seen movement.
"Great."
Marcus slung his rifle across his back and reached one hand into the gap. "Take my hand." Lyra stared at him. "It's okay." She reached out with trembling fingers. The moment his skin touched hers, slime poured across her arm. Marcus had expected slick. He had not expected impossible. Her hand shot out of his grip, like she had been dipped in engine lubricant. She yelped, jerked backward, hit her head on the underside of the pavement, and began to shake. "Okay," Marcus said quickly. "Okay, not doing that." The Ghorza clicked to each other. "Closer now." Marcus pulled off his jacket. "New plan." Lyra watched him with huge eyes. "I'm going to give you this. You hold on to it." "I'm not going to grab you unless you ask. Understand?" She blinked. "Do you understand common?" A tiny nod.
"Good."
"Smart girl." He pushed the jacket into the gap. She stared at it like it might bite. "It smells bad," he admitted. "That's because I have poor life choices and Elena refuses to buy better detergent." The child's eyes flicked to him. Not quite a laugh. "Close enough." Marcus smiled. "Yeah, she's mean." A Ghorza stepped through the smoke 15 meters away. Marcus lifted his rifle one-handed and fired 3 rounds. The first hit the creature's chest plate and sparked away. The second struck softer tissue near one shoulder. The third took one of its smaller eyes. The Ghorza roared. "Lyra," Marcus said, still calm, still aiming. "Jacket."
"Now."
She grabbed the jacket. He pulled. For one terrifying second, nothing happened. Then she slid out from beneath the slab in a rush of mucus, limbs, and panic. Marcus wrapped the jacket around her and tried to lift her. She slipped downward instantly. "Wow," he grunted, catching her before she hit the mud. "That is impressive." Lyra made a frightened chirping sound. I know. I've got you." He did not have her. Not really. The jacket helped, but not enough. Her whole body was coated, and every time she panicked, more slime seeped through the fabric. She twisted toward the sound of Ghorza movement and nearly slid out of his arms again. Marcus backed behind the wrecked skimmer, holding her awkwardly against his chest with both forearms. "Elena," he said over comms. "I have the kid." Her voice came back instantly. "Status." "Slippery." "Marcus." "Very slippery." "Are you injured?" "Mostly dignity." The Ghorza he had shot charged around the wreck. Marcus threw himself sideways. The creature slammed into the skimmer hard enough to move the whole wreck. Marcus hit the mud on his back, clutching Lyra inside the jacket. She popped halfway free like a wet bar of soap. "Nope," Marcus barked, grabbing the jacket corners and rolling with her. A Ghorza blade arm came down. Marcus kicked off the mud, slid backward by accident, and the blade punched into the ground between his boots. The mud and Vorthax slime did what Marcus could not have done on purpose. He kept sliding. The Ghorza lunged. Marcus fired from his back. 1 shot.
2, 3, 4.
The Ghorza's front limb buckled. Its own momentum carried it forward, mandibles snapping inches from Marcus's leg. He rolled again, dragging Lyra with him, and came up on one knee. The child clung to the inside of his jacket now. Not to him. To the jacket. "Good enough." "Hold tight," he told her. She made a tiny sound. "I know. Bad plan. It's the only one I have." Marcus ran. He did not run toward the open street. That would get them killed. He ran toward the canal. "Elena," he said, "can you pick up near the water?" "Negative. Too much fire." "Then make less fire." Oh, brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? The second chance swept overhead before he could answer. Her lower turret opened up, hammering the road behind him. Ghorza scattered. One went down. Another lost 2 limbs and kept moving, screaming rage through its mandibles. Ghorza regeneration was a wonderful thing unless someone was shooting at you with the belief that temporary problems were still problems. Marcus reached the canal edge. The bridge was gone. The water below churned with debris and burning fuel. Across the canal, maybe 30 meters away, was a maintenance dock wide enough for the second chance to hover beside if Elena was willing to risk a very ugly approach. Of course she was. He looked down at Lyra. Can you swim? She stared at him as if he had asked whether she could breathe.
Right.
Amphibious. I can't breathe underwater, he said. So, if we go in, you don't let me drown. Deal? Her head fin lifted a fraction. Behind them, the Ghorza roared. Marcus looked back. 4 of them. Too close. Deal it is.
He jumped.
The canal swallowed them. Cold hit Marcus like a fist. For 1 second, everything became bubbles, darkness, and the muffled thunder of war above the surface. Lyra slipped from his arms instantly. Panic punched through him. Then small webbed hands grabbed his shirt. Not his jacket. Him. Lyra moved in the water like fear had become speed. She pulled him downward, away from the burning fuel spreading across the surface. Marcus kicked, clumsy and heavy, lungs already tightening. The world underwater was green-gray and full of debris. A chunk of bridge sank past them. Lyra tugged him around it. Light flashed above as weapons fire struck the canal. Shockwaves thudded through the water. Marcus felt them in his bones.
He pointed toward the far side.
Lyra nodded. Then she pulled him. Marcus had been dragged by machines, angry security drones, and once by Elena when he had insisted he could walk after being shot. This was stranger. Lyra was tiny, terrified, and slick as oil, but underwater she became strong in a way that had nothing to do with muscle. She found currents.
She used her whole body.
She slipped through the canal like she belonged to it. Marcus did not. His lungs burned. The far wall approached too slowly. Lyra looked back and saw his face. Her eyes widened. She pulled harder. Marcus tried to smile around the fact that he was absolutely, definitely, very close to drowning. Then something huge hit the water behind them. A Ghorza. Of course. The creature thrashed into the canal, limbs cutting through the water with brutal force. It was not graceful, but it did not need to be. It was big, armored, and coming straight for them. Marcus twisted, raised his rifle, and remembered too late that underwater shooting was generally a stupid idea. He fired anyway. The shot cracked through the water, slow and wrong. It struck the Ghorza's shoulder and made the creature flinch. That was all. Lyra yanked Marcus toward a drainage outflow in the canal wall. It was narrow. Too narrow for the Ghorza. Possibly too narrow for Marcus. Lyra slipped inside. Marcus grabbed the edge and pulled. His shoulders jammed.
Perfect.
The Ghorza surged closer. Marcus shoved the rifle ahead of him, exhaled the last of his air, and forced himself into the outflow. Metal scraped his back. His ribs compressed. Pain lit across his chest. For 1 horrible second he stuck. Lyra appeared in front of him, braced her feet against a pipe wall, and pulled his shirt with both hands. Marcus pushed. The Ghorza's claws snapped shut behind his boot. One caught his heel. Pain flared. Marcus kicked hard. His boot tore loose. So did part of the Ghorza's claw. The creature screamed underwater, a vibrating, furious sound. Marcus popped through the tightest part of the pipe and slid into a maintenance culvert beneath the far dock. His head broke the surface. He dragged in air so hard it hurt. Lyra surfaced beside him, coughing even though Marcus was pretty sure she did not need to. "You okay?" he gasped. She nodded. Then she looked at his bleeding ankle. Marcus looked too. Red spread through the water. That's not ideal. Lyra's skin flashed distressed gray. Marcus forced a grin. "It's okay. I've got another foot."
She did laugh this time.
Small, shaking, but real. Above them, The second chance roared closer. Elena's voice snapped over comms. Marcus, talk to me. He coughed water. Maintenance dock. West side. Kids safe. You sound terrible. You always say the sweetest things. I am coming in hot. Can you move? Marcus looked up at the ladder bolted into the culvert wall. Looked at his ankle. Looked at Lyra, who was starting to shake again as the Ghorza hammered at the far side of the pipe.
Yeah, he said.
We can move. He hoped lying still counted if optimism was involved. Marcus climbed first because if he fell, he did not want to fall on the child. His ankle screamed every time he put weight on it. Halfway up, Lyra slipped past him on the wet ladder like gravity had only made a polite suggestion to her. She reached the top, then looked back. Marcus panted. Show off. She extended a small webbed hand. He stared at it. She stared back. Then he took it. Her skin was slick, but not impossible now. She pulled with everything she had. It did not help much physically.
It helped anyway.
Marcus hauled himself onto the dock. The world exploded into noise. The second chance dropped beside the maintenance platform, belly thrusters boiling the canal beneath her. Her cargo ramp was half lowered before she was fully steady. Elena Ward, Marcus muttered. You reckless angel. The ramp hit the dock. Vorthax guards spilled out, slipping, sliding, and forming the least stable rescue line Marcus had ever seen. At the top of the ramp stood Elena. She had left the cockpit. That was either very good or very bad. Her dark hair was tied back. Her face was pale with fury. She held a pistol in one hand and looked like she intended to personally argue the Ghorza into retreating. Move, she shouted. Marcus grabbed Lyra and started toward the ramp. The child slipped. This time, she did not fall away. She grabbed his arm and clung. Behind them, the Ghorza finally broke through the drainage pipe. The first creature dragged itself onto the dock, chitin gouged, one claw broken, eyes fixed on Marcus and the child. Elena raised her pistol. Marcus raised his rifle. The Vorthax guards raised theirs. Lyra hissed. It was not a frightened sound. It was small, furious, and wet. Everyone fired. The Ghorza collapsed half onto the dock, mandibles twitching. Marcus. Elena snapped. Going. He limped up the ramp with Lyra clinging to him. The moment they crossed into the cargo bay, the Vorthax mother screamed her daughter's name. Lyra. The child launched herself from Marcus with such force that he nearly fell over. She slid across the slime-coated deck like a living torpedo and slammed into her mother's arms. They both went down in a sobbing, shining heap. The cargo bay erupted. Vorthax civilians cried, clicked, chirped, and reached for each other. Even the guards lowered their weapons. The stern elder female covered her mouth with both webbed hands. Lord Vanna stood near the inner hatch, soaked in slime from the knees down, looking personally betrayed by compassion. Marcus leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Elena stepped in as the ramp closed behind her. She looked at Marcus. Her eyes dropped to his ankle, then to the blood, then to his soaked clothes, then to the slime dripping from every surface of her cargo bay. For a second, her expression cracked. Relief, sharp and painful, broke through the anger. Then she punched him in the shoulder. Ow, he said. You jumped off my ship. Technically, I jumped out of your ship. She punched him again.
Ow.
You were told to make it back alive. Marcus looked at Lyra and her mother clinging to each other on the deck. I followed the important half. Elena stared at him. Then her mouth twitched. Your boot is gone. Marcus looked down.
Oh.
That explains the draft. Lyra's mother crawled toward him, still holding her daughter with one arm. Human Marcus, she said, voice breaking. I cannot pay you for this. Marcus slid down the wall until he was sitting on the deck. Good. Because Captain Ward handles billing, and she's terrible at discounts. Elena crossed her arms. Accurate. The mother bowed her head, pressing her brow to Lyra's. Why did you come back for her? The cargo bay quieted. Even Lord Vanna stopped complaining. Marcus looked at the child. Lyra's large eyes peered at him from beneath her mother's arm. Her skin was still pale with fear, but faint silver green was returning along her cheeks. He shrugged. She was missing. The mother stared at him as if he had spoken a holy thing by accident. Marcus looked uncomfortable, which made Elena feel slightly better. Then Lord Vanna ruined it. This was reckless, he said. You endangered every person aboard this vessel for one child. Elena turned slowly. Marcus closed his eyes. Oh, don't. Elena walked toward Lord Vanna. The cargo bay was so slick that her first step nearly took her out. She caught herself on a wall handle, recovered with as much dignity as possible, and continued. Lord Vanna took one step back. Smart man. Lord Vanna, she said, I want to make sure I understand you. You violated our contract. I saved your family. You risked my family. I saved them first. You then risked us for strangers. Elena nodded. Yes. That is irrational. Yes. That is poor business. Probably. That is. The reason my ship is called the Second Chance, Elena said. Lord Vanna closed his mouth. Elena stepped closer. You hired me because humans do stupid things. You hired me because a human captain will fly through a blockade that better species call impossible. You hired Marcus because he can fight things that should scare him and then joke about his missing boot. You wanted human madness when it belonged to you. She pointed toward Lyra and her mother. But it doesn't belong to you. That's the part everyone keeps misunderstanding. No one spoke. The Second Chance rumbled as it climbed hard through the atmosphere. Elena looked around the bay. At the terrified civilians. At the powerful family. At the child still holding her mother. At Marcus bleeding on her deck and pretending he was not. Her voice softened, but only a little. On my ship, people get second chances. Not just rich people. Not just clients. People. The elder Vorthax female lowered her head. One by one, the rescued civilians did the same. Lord Vanna did not. But he also did not speak again. Elena considered that victory enough. Then the ship lurched as it broke through the upper atmosphere. The artificial gravity compensated a fraction late. Every Vorthax in the cargo bay slid half a meter to the left. Marcus slid with them. Elena grabbed a support rail and stayed upright. Marcus, sitting in a puddle of slime, slowly rotated until his shoulder bumped a crate. He looked up at her. Elena? What? We're going to need a mop. She looked at the cargo bay. The ramp was coated. The walls were coated. The deck shone. Slime dripped from the ceiling in long, clear strands. Somewhere near the environmental vents, something made a wet gurgling sound that no ship system should ever make. Elena inhaled through her nose. Then she looked at Lord Vanna. Good news, she said. I found your surcharge. Marcus started laughing. So did Lyra. After a moment, so did half the cargo bay. Elena did not laugh. Not yet. She turned toward the cockpit, boots sliding with every other step, and opened a channel to orbital control. This is Captain Elena Ward of the Second Chance, she said. We are outbound with evacuees. Medical assistance required. Also, if anyone up there has industrial cleaning foam, I am willing to negotiate aggressively. Behind her, Marcus laughed harder. Elena smiled despite herself. The Second Chance climbed toward the stars, battered, slimy, over capacity and alive. Clean jobs were never clean, but some messes were worth carrying home.